Hello, good evening, all my little bun-buns. Daisy here with you tonight, feeling robish. Actually, full suitish tonight, because just did the video. Full suit in the bathrobe. So, there's that. But tonight we're going to do a thoughts video. These are usually pretty fun. Specifically, we're going to do a thought on a TV series. Rather, 3 TV series, but we'll stick to one of them. We'll stay as close to a single as I can. That way I can enjoy 2 more of these videos later. Specifically, we're talking about TV series I'm actually currently rewatching for I don't know how many time because, well, I watched it when it was on TV initially, so, reruns, I'd see each season more than once before the next one comes out. Anywho, I'm babbling. That needs to stop right now. Well, that's never going to stop. The TV show I'm talking about started as a movie, and that would be Stargate. Specifically, we're going to talk about Stargate SG1. Now, it did start with a movie, and the TV series does not disregard the movie at all. They do just kind of pretend like some of the actors are the same people. That's okay. That happens a lot, not only just in TV, but in movie series in general. Most recent one that confused me initially was on Iron Man when they switched out Rhodey between movies 1 and 2. Later finding out more about the situation, I'm not complaining about it, but it was a bit jarring to switch up people like that. So, back to the topic at hand. Stargate, pretty awesome concept. Big circle, makes wormholes, powered by ancient alien power stuffs. Goes between giant network of worlds, and as far as we found out later, networks that span different galaxies if you have proper equipment. And lots of different aliens, ranging from things that look more or less human to the Asgardians, which were like the little gray alien guys that everybody, the basic concept of what an alien is. Big head, big round eyes, skinny bodies. But in general, it was a pretty good startup from the get-go. The movie itself, I like both the movie and the TV series. I know there's a lot of people who like one or the other, and I can understand that. They were a little bit different animals, but I enjoyed both. We start off with a single planet we figure out how to get to, go invade, go exploring, find a nice group of people that were slaves, and a not so nice group of people that wanted to keep them as slaves. And everybody had thought on the other world that the Earth had been destroyed because the Earth buried their Stargate, thousands and thousands of years ago, back when ancient Egypt was still a prosperous nation. So that was way back in yonder days, long before I was born. Go figure. So that's our basic concept. We had alien race that was taking humans as slave labor, bringing them to another planet, and using them also as host bodies for they're kind of a wormy little guy that goes in the back of the head and wraps around the brain and controls the human body, or other bipedal sentient creature, possibly other things. I think they had one little weird monster critter that got infected by a gold at one point. One of these things, as I just mentioned, was a gold. They go in the head, they control the head, and they make them do stuff. Gives them long life, more strength, all sorts of cool shiz, stuff to make them better. And with their technology, they get looked at as gods by their slaves, which is why the slave labor thing kind of works. If God literally came down in front of you and told you, you work for me, that whole faith part isn't necessary. You're covered, you've seen, you're good to go. And for as magical as their abilities would seem, because, well, technology to people without technology, it quickly turned into, yeah, okay, so you guys are gods. That's cool, yo. Sure, we service you. Now, after the movie was initially finished, human soldiers defeated Ra, blew up his ship. We thought life was good. We just assumed everything was hunky dunky. Then the TV series starts. Ra wasn't the only one out there. We have more people coming through the Stargate. We start off with yet another Goa'uld and their new variant. Well, they just weren't in the movie initially, I guess. The Jaffa. So, Goa'uld live in the head, control the person, but those critters need to mature to some extent before they're ready for implementation in the brains. So the Jaffa did the other part. They did the raising. They do not get directly controlled by them, but they get long life and free immune system that works against like everything. They just have to get an X cut in their belly, and it makes a little pouch. Worm lives in pouch. Pouch worm gives immune system, amazing immune system, and more strength and all that. All the benefits, just no mind control. And they house said little baby gods until they're ready to be implanted into other people to take them over and make them be, well, controlled. These were soldiers, but they were also still in their own right slaves. We get one in the first double-end episode that defects. He's with us through like all of Stargate from this point on. His name was Teal'c. He's pretty cool, big African American gentleman with a cool little actual hunk of gold tattoo in his head, because he was the first Prime, aka like Knight number 1 of Apophis. I will definitely say the TV series helmets initially were way lamer than the movie ones. The movie ones were all CG and really, really freaking cool. We had like an Anubis head and some Horus heads. They're Burbies and a doggy. And Ra's head was a full-blown, like, looked like off the sarcophagus, big gold Egyptian guy head. And they like CG coming on and off. The snake heads that we start off with here in this series were just like, oh, poop. Oh, the helmet comes open. That's nice. Poop. It closes. And they weren't really that detailed, so I was a little disappointed in that. But you went from movie budget to TV budget, so yeah, you can take what you can get. It was at least cool. They had all sorts of neat weaponry. Their alien weapons were based on like staves, and they had the end opened up and it shot out, which was really cool. But they were also then a formidable device to whack people with, like as a big old stick with a spoop on the other end for scooping someone's leg out from under them. And honestly, a pretty well thought out weapon, so I can't complain about that. Apparently not as accurate as human firearms, but but much more destructive per shot. I could go on and on. I will try and make it as brief as possible because this show had 10 seasons. This was one of 3 Stargates. uh, so this one, first we had several different seasons. Just humans against different Goa'ulds. Up through, it was about season 6, I think, that chain finally was ending. Around season 5, it got a little wonky. We had people ascending and turning into like light and spirity things, and they were all powerful. And little off-putting, honestly. Um, and for me, this is around where it started to go a little bit downhill. At the end of the Goa'uld / Jaffa / everybody else wars, now the humans had interstellar spacecraft. It was right then that the spawn off to Stargate Atlantis, which I'll cover in another video, had happened, and they popped off to make a colony in another galaxy. Coolness. Okay. Now we have yet another foe, the Ori. Now, this could have gone better for a lot of reasons. One, first we had Egyptian religion, which was, to Americans, at least moderately exotic. It was interesting. You had a large array of theology. We even spewed in some other areas, gods and stuff, but they were all the miscellaneous-y type gods. The Norse gods all were part of the Asgardian race, and we had a lot more of the European and Central European and African gods, all being of the Goa'ulds. Now, when we hit the Ori, it was more Christianic, and I'm not saying it's Christian. Okay, now all you Christian-y people, put your hate forks down. At the time, I was also Christian when I first was watching this, so I was comparing it to what I actually was raised with. So not only did it not seem exotic like the Norse gods or the Egyptian gods, we now had people being very, very reminiscent of the extremist levels of the Judeo-Christian religious figure type stuff. And it did kind of, that of itself was a little off-putting. Looking back, that part doesn't annoy me as much now, especially looking further into it and enjoying the entirety of the series. But it was definitely a major change of venue. We went from this grand adventure to this grand adventure. Also was around this time, right then, we lost almost all of the cast. Now, throughout the series, occasionally someone would be traded out or traded back in. Daniel left and ascended for some point in season /5 and 6-ish area. And we had an alien brainiac fill us whole. His name was Jonas. Teal'c went off on adventures for a while. He just wasn't part of the crew. Sometimes Daniel would be off just doing archaeological things on an episode and not part of SG1. Generally, though, you had Carter and... Wow, how do you forget the name of the hero? him MacGyver. That's who played him. Colonel O'Neill. You had Colonel O'Neill and Major Carter. They were pretty much always there. All of a sudden, Colonel O'Neill becomes General O'Neill, and or he's off the set. At this point, I've not caught up to that point again, so I have fuzzy memory. I'm just at the end of the Gold Wars on the rewatch here. So we lose a lot of the main cast. Now, also around the same time, the TV series had left regular broadcast network. It was no longer on either Fox or UPN or whoever owned it at the moment. I get traded hands at least once during that phase, so yay. And it now was residing on the Sci-Fi Network. And since we had actors being phased out, we had to add in some new actors to fill in gaps. Fresh off the end of Farscape, we had the main heroes from that series pop in and just take up the roles. So we had, I actually don't remember their names at all, but we had both the main hero dude from Farscape take up Jack O'Neill's primary role of team leader, and we had the alien-y lady that was his kind of girlfriend from the other series come over and be basically the same role in this series. And things kind of just tumbled along because you may have had a little bit of change in and out of cast previously, but you always had some anchors. For part of the last 4 seasons, you had Jack O'Neill was the general, and then there was this other guy that was the general for a while, and he was just kind of dull. And we were losing our main, like, home-based general from, the point when either of them took role. General Hammond, big bald guy, really felt, general. He felt like general. He felt like he was supposed to be there. Either of these two felt just kind of sitting at the desk. And I wasn't really as sold on either of them. But sometimes this does show a show may just be overstaying its welcome. It really felt like they'd finished their story at the end of season 6, and then the Ori thing just kind of got stamped in there. We did get a couple of mini movies added in there throughout the mix around the Ori. I think it finished with a mini movie. I can't remember for sure at this point. It's been a while since I watched all the little tail ends of this stuff. And by the time I got to that, I was kind of checked out. I'm gonna finish watching it all again because it's on Netflix and I'm a bingeaholic. I watch things to completion. Whether or not I'm directly paying attention all the time, that's kind of beside the point. But that's been my homework for the last week or so. Yeah. So there we are. Stargate SG1. It was started off kind of got pretty good and kind of teetered off to an at the end. Overall, it was still worth a watch, and I recommend it. If you have Netflix, pop it in. It's there, free. Enjoy yourself. There's 10 seasons of this stuff. It does get better after the first season, and around the 7th season, it kind of gets... Well, I'll let you judge that on your own. That's my opinion as to where I felt it started to lose it. But, it was fun. It was a good ride. I love seeing the progression of technology, but like Star Trek, once you hit a certain point in technology, it feels like, well, we're there. Are we done now? But, if the show's making money, they're going to make more episodes. They sure did. Anyway, that's about all I have to say about that show. I have 2 other Stargate series to talk about later. I figured tagging the movie in this one would be most appropriate since it really was actually attached to the main story plot. Um, but the other 2 also had a lot of interesting functionality. So, future videos. For now, definitely thank you for spending some time with me listening to this babbling about a TV series that started in the 90s and ended sometime in the 2000s. Uh, did you watch SG1 or the movie? Did you like one or the other, or both? Did you have fun with it? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what your opinions are. Uh, I think it was a good show. I think it was worth it. Um, but please also give this video a like, give me a subscribe, hit the little dingly bell. For said dingly bell, let you know when I post new videos. And my Patreon link is in the description box below. But this little bunny does thank you for spending some time with me and listening to me babble about sci-fi TV. And, well, I hope to see you in future videos. Um, so, yeah. Thank you again. Your viewership is the most important part, not spending money on the Patreon, just sitting here and being subscribed and watching my videos. It does make me happy and feel like someone's listening. But for now, thank you all for watching, and be good bunnies, everybody.